From devout Christian to necrophiliac and serial cheater. 49 confirmed murders, another possible 30 victims that are still yet to be found. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, left a trail of unspeakable horror over the span of almost 20 years. But what truly drove this regular, dyslexic high school boy to become one of America's most renowned serial killers? Before we begin, if you are interested in deciphering the psychological aspects that drive serial killers to commit horrific crimes, please leave a like and subscribe so we can notify you of future videos. Now, let's set sail. Gary Leon Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah. He was the second out of 3 sons. From an early age, Ridgway had a strained relationship with his mother Mary, who was extremely strict and dominant. Ridgway would wet the bed until age 13, and his mother was the one responsible for helping him clean up after each instance. In later interviews, he would say that as an adolescent, his mother belittled him, ridiculed him, and beat him with belts and sticks for his condition. As a result, he had conflicting feelings of anger and sexual attraction towards his mother and fantasized about killing her. During his formative years, he witnessed multiple violent arguments between his parents. His father, Thomas, was a bus driver who would often complain about the presence of sex workers and would verbally insult them while in the presence of Gary Ridgway. These instances would in fact stay imprinted on Ridgway's memory and explain some of his future actions. In high school, Ridgway was held back a year, possibly due to his dyslexia, but what is also to be noted is that his IQ was recorded in the low 80s. Although an IQ alone does not tell a story, this deficiency has been proven to aggravate certain psychological disorders and facilitate the development of new disorders. A research led by Norwegian doctors even proved that individuals with an IQ below 85 had a significantly increased risk of developing schizophrenia later in life, and often worked low-income jobs, struggled financially, making them even more vulnerable to further mental health issues. In a later interview, Gary Ridgway said he often felt like an outcast in his own family due to his intellectual limitations. His older brother Gregory was the shining star of the family and excelled academically both in high school and later in university. In retrospect, Ridgway broke down during an interview saying he was afraid he would get put on the short bus, a bus designed to transport all physically and mentally disabled students to school. Ridgway displayed his first signs of abnormal behavior during his high school years, in one instance torturing a cat by putting it in the freezer. Later on, at the age of 16, he stabbed a 6-year-old boy who survived the attack. Ridgway had lured the boy into the woods and then stabbed him. As he walked away, Ridgway voiced a thought out loud. "I always wondered what it would be like to kill someone." These early actions begin to display that Gary Ridgway clearly felt no empathy for any human being, nor any living being in general. None at all. After graduating high school in 1969 and marrying his girlfriend, Ridgway joined the US Navy and was deployed to Vietnam. During his service in Vietnam, he often used the services of sex workers there, which led him to contract a severe STD. This angered Ridgway, but did not stop him from frequenting the establishments on a regular basis, resulting in his marriage ending in just about a year. He would later marry a second time, both marriages ending in divorce as a result of infidelity. During his second marriage, Ridgway turned to religion and became a devout believer, forcing his then-wife to follow the pastor's teachings by word. He would also read the Bible at work and at home, and was even seen crying during some sermons. All the while, he still solicited sex workers on a common basis, and even incited his wife to have intercourse with him in public and inappropriate areas. He often complained about the abundance of sex workers, but would use their services, claiming himself that he had a love-hate relationship with them. In a way, they helped him deal with his uncontrollable sexual desire, but at the same time, he hated paying them and they broke his morals. Some speculate that Ridgway battled between his strict religious beliefs and his insatiable desire for intercourse, which fueled his hatred beyond control. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Ridgway is believed to have murdered at least 71 girls and women. When asked about a certain amount, Ridgway simply answered, "I have murdered so many women, I have a hard time keeping them straight." One of his known methods of gaining his victims' trust was to show a photograph of his son from his second marriage. After having intercourse in his truck or house, he would strangle them and throw their bodies in the green areas near the Green River, therefore gaining the nickname of the Green River Killer. During another interview, Ridgway confessed to something far more sinister than the murders. He admitted to regularly having intercourse with the remains of his victims in order to avoid being detected and arrested. In addition to that, he would try and confuse the police by taking some of the victims' belongings and transporting them to other states, letting them speculate that the victims may have simply been runaways. Of his 49 victims, only 3 of them had occurred after his marriage in 1985 with his third wife, Judith Mawson. He claimed that he had changed after marrying her because she made him happy, meaning he had less desire to kill. Therefore, she indirectly had saved many lives by simply making Ridgway's life happier, and he himself claimed that he toned down the kill rate because he truly loved her. Or at least he made himself believe that he did. Ridgway was arrested in 1982 and 2001 on charges related to prostitution. He became a suspect in the Green River killings in 1983, but passed a polygraph test in 1984. On April 7, 1987, police took hair and saliva samples from Ridgway, which later came back positive for DNA profiling. This evidence was sufficient for an arrest warrant to be issued, and on November 30, 2001, Gary Ridgway was apprehended while working at a Kenworth truck factory, where he worked as a spray painter. On November 5, 2003, Ridgway pleaded guilty to 48 counts of aggravated first-degree murder as part of the plea agreement reached in June of that year. In exchange for his cooperation in locating the remains of his victims and providing additional details, he avoided the death penalty. On December 18, 2003, Judge Richard Jones of King County Superior Court handed down a 48-life sentence without parole to Gary Ridgway to be served consecutively, in addition to an additional 10 years for tampering with evidence for each of the 48 victims, resulting in a total of 480 years behind bars. Furthermore, Ridgway received another life sentence after the remains of his 49th victim were discovered. Over the years, Ridgway has been gradually cooperating with police to find more victims that he claimed were out there, and also disproving some victims that were added to his record but who he said were not part of the long list of victims he had killed. He is suspected to be related to at least another 5 murders, 4 of which still have not yet been discovered. The Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, has never been diagnosed with disorders, but it is believed that he may have had antisocial personality disorder, which is a particularly challenging type of personality disorder characterized by impulsive, irresponsible, and often criminal behavior. Someone with antisocial personality disorder will typically be manipulative, deceitful, and reckless, and will not care for other people's feelings. From an early age, Ridgway developed a hate for sex workers, whether it be via listening to his father's rants about them, or his time in Vietnam, where the contraction of an STD made him despise them even deeper. His first 2 marriages ended as a result of infidelity by both partners, but Ridgway often focused on his partner's promiscuity as the reason for the failure of his marriages. This hate for sex workers brewed inside him and was in sharp contrast to his religious beliefs, but he couldn't avoid resorting to their services. He would deceive his victims and make them believe he was a family man by showing them photos of his family to gain their trust. It can't be speculated that after intercourse he would get infuriated with their reluctance to pay and the violations he committed to his own belief system. That is what fueled his sadistic desire to kill. He viewed his victims as means to a goal, that goal being satisfying his needs. Once done, he would mercilessly end their life and dispose of them. In contrast to other serial killers who made statements by carefully choosing where they left their victims, Gary Ridgway simply dumped them wherever he thought they would not be found. Gary Ridgway's heinous acts shook the very foundation of society, leaving scars that will never fully heal. But it's important to remember the victims, the lives he stole, and the families forever shattered by his actions. As we delve into the depths of this dark chapter in history, let us ignite conversations about mental health, societal neglect, and the importance of early intervention. Only through understanding and preventive measures can we hope to prevent future tragedies just like this one. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time. Until then, keep your eyes open and senses sharp. My name is Nick, and this is Homicide Harbor.